All right. Well, good evening, Bard. Um, Welcome to the Code Q, the OSA Presents Code Q Pride panel. We are very excited to have such an distinguished panel with us as we talk about everything Pride, right? We want to take a moment to recognize everything that's happening around us. First, recognizing that it is Pride Month and that we are celebrating the great achievements that we as a people have done for our communities, for our LGBT community, honoring Marsha Johnson for her bravery in starting the Stonewall riots, amongst other things, and then also taking into consideration the times that we are in, living through the what our nation is going through right now with the senseless killings of our Black men. And so we want to honor the Black Lives Matters movement. And as we talk about Black Lives Matter, we also want to recognize all the Black trans women who have fallen victim to senseless killings as well. So I want to kind of preface by saying that. But without further ado, I want to introduce Kelly Craig, the amazing, wonderful Kelly Craig. She has been a very close friend of mine since back when I was many moons ago when I was a pageant title holder, not no more.
A baby.
I was a baby. I was a baby in the scene, and she really was an amazing influence on me and such a powerful figure in the Buffalo community and now in a national sense. And so I want to introduce Kelly Craig, who will then allow for the panel to introduce themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Josue. Hello, everyone. My name is Kelly Craig. I'm a native and resident of Buffalo, New York. My pronouns are she and her, and I openly also identify as a trans woman of color and of experience. So it's an honor to be able to moderate this panel. Happy everything, happy pride, happy emotions, and all of that good stuff. So without further ado, hello to our panelists.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brandon Barilli. I'm a Dean of Students. I work in higher education, and I've served as an assistant professor for LGBT and communication studies. I openly identify as genderqueer, and I use they, them pronouns, and happy Pride.
Hello, everyone. My name is Devet Salcedo, and I am the Assistant Director of Facilities at the City College of New York. I live in New Jersey, and my pronoun, I go by he and him.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kennedy Davenport from Dallas, Texas. I go by the pronouns he. I know that's hard to believe, but yeah, he and him. And I am alum of RuPaul's Drag Race and All Stars, and I'm also the reigning Miss Gay US of A.
Thank you. Welcome to all of our panelists. So how we are going to move throughout the evening is that we have a few questions for our panelists, and then we will open up questions for our guests. So June is nationally recognized as Pride Month. Given the tumultuous times our country is facing, what does Pride mean to you this year? You want me to repeat that?
Who wants to go first?
Oh, because I'm like, baby, just call one of us out.
Okay.
I'll say it because I'll forget my thought. Pride would never change for me, regardless of what's going on in the world. For me, pride is total liberation, and it starts from the inside. So I have to, of course, we have to recognize what's going on around us, but we still have to have a sense of freedom on the inside to still be able to express ourselves, even if it's in the movement, but to be able to express ourselves and still be still feel free internally to be who we are and be and do and be what we want to be.
I actually really appreciated the idea of openness within yourself. I think for those of us that in our youth, or maybe even now, we're really closed off and didn't understand sexuality, or even that there is an opportunity to really resist gender, that you really did see it as an external thing. And I think up until maybe the last 2 years, it really was just logos turning rainbow. You saw it on social media as parties and gatherings. Honestly, lots of white faces and white gay men. Insta-gay is like one of the top social media trending during this month. I think over the last few years, it was seen as not just celebration of the endpoint, that we have all these rights, like you said, liberation, and now we're done. I think Pride is continual progress. It's taking a step back and saying, how can we advance equity across the board and really put aside what was seen as Pride, which is just a visual celebration, and it's really an active participation. I think over the last few years, it's been much more like that, and particularly this year.
Sylvia.
For me, how do I consider Pride this year? Is it's a moment of unity with everyone due to what's going on in the world. You know, acceptance and transparency. So, and why I say that is because everyone is coming together and uniting and fighting for what's right for their beliefs. And in the LGBTQ community, back then it wasn't as open as it is now. And the more you get educated and the more you're involved yourself with the community, the more you accept, you know, and I want to say that goes also with the Black Lives Matter as well, you know, because there's a lot of people that are don't know how to accept one another for who they are and for the color of their skin or the gender you perceive yourself. So it's, I want to say, togetherness, unity, and fighting for what's right and for your beliefs.
Thank you. A few of you touched base on the movement that's going on. Now, what can members of the LGBTQ community do to support the Black Lives movement, the Black Lives Matter movement?
You said, what can they do?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think people all around are doing a great job. I didn't agree with, when it first started going on, it was just terrible, you know, with all the looting and rioting and the police officers and all of that. But I think now we are seeing more peaceful protest. So I feel like people should, I guess, ask yourself, what am I doing? And if you can't answer that to yourself, then you should be trying to find something to do. Everybody plays a part, and I posted this on my Instagram. Everybody plays a part in the revolution, whatever it may be. Simple posting, simple face-to-face actions of caring, and simply just going and doing what you feel is a contribution to the fight, because there's no rule books here. There's nothing that says, okay, in order to be a part of the Black Lives Movement, you need to do this, you need to do that. No, it's all about where your heart is. It's all about what you want to do as a person and as a human to make a difference.
I appreciate that. Where's your heart, right? I think there's a great big void between the words people use and the action they actually do.
Right.
Again on social media, what are you posting? But then where are you going and actually standing up for the people who need you to stand up? I think one thing that members of the LGBT community can do, just like folks of the under the queer umbrella have asked other people, like, have empathy for me, understand why I'm fighting for marriage equality or healthcare rights or the ability to buy a home with my husband, right? To adopt children, have empathy that I can't have that experience. Also have empathy for other people who what we see as looting and protesting. What is that? Why has it gotten that far, right? Think about the historical and the violence that they have experienced, and try to understand, well, what can I do so that this doesn't have to happen again, right? What are the actions I can take as a white male presenting person that things have gotten to this far because I've not contested the privilege that I've had. I haven't done enough action. I've been only words. So what can I do now so that what we have perceived as violent protesting or looting or rioting doesn't have to happen in the future? I think that's the real reflection that people need to do. What's the gap between what you say you support and what you're actually doing?
Vivian? Vivian, are you with us?
Hello, you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna need you to get with the program.
No. I want to piggyback on what Brandon
That
said.
part.
Yeah, have empathy. You know what I'm saying? I like what you said with the scenario of empathy. Also, how can I continue to advocate? Don't stop. Because what happens is that once you start advocating for a purpose, and then everything comes what you expect, the outcome is what you want it to be, then everything calms down, and they stop advocating and protesting. So engaging yourself on a constant rhythm, and continue the protest, continue to advocate for your beliefs, and for beliefs of others. And like you said, Brandon, empathy is have empathy towards one another.
I like that part about empathy. As we go into our next question, what does allyship look like to you? And what are some recommendations that you would give someone who wants to be an LGBTQ ally?
Allyship. I believe allyship is basically somebody who's on your side wholeheartedly. And the second part of your question, ask me again.
What are the recommendations that you would give someone who wants to be an LGBTQ ally?
I would definitely have to tell them to do it like I said before, do it unconditionally, do it from your heart. Because that's the only way we as myself, that's the only way I can believe that is true and it's genuine and it's real. And that's what we need as a gay society. We need real people that aren't that may not be in our lifestyle or in our community. We need real, honest people that genuinely care about what's going on in our community and that are willing to stand up and fight with us. And you know, because you can smell bullshit from a mile away. So you know that we do not need. We need somebody. If you want to be our ally and you really want to be on board with us with this fight, we need you to do it and do it with your whole heart, because I'm sure we would be doing the same thing for you.
I would add, ally doesn't mean that you're just my friend, right? And that you accept me, because then you're just my friend and you have this completely different viewpoint about LGBTQ rights or whatever it happens to be. I think it means that you are protecting me when I'm not in the room, right? When somebody else is saying something, when you are voting, when you are talking to your city council, when you're talking to a teacher about what queer voices look like in the classroom, you are representing me when you have the chance to do that and I'm not in the room. I think a lot of us on this panel have gotten our rights either through legislation or the Supreme Court rulings, right? A lot of people who are not LGBT, not people of color, don't understand that frustration. They have had the rights for a really long time, so they don't understand what it means to have to fight for that. So ally, I think, is active. It's like a verb. I need you to be doing something continuously, and realize that when there's like a legal ruling, it doesn't mean that everything is fine then. When marriage equality passed, marriage clerks were still not allowing people to get married. When businesses were still turning folks away who were LGBTQ. So just because a law happens or a Supreme Court ruling the other day doesn't mean that that fight is over. I need you to continue to tell other people why acceptance is important.
And you're correct, Brandon. I like when you said just because you're gay or whatever, lesbian or whatever, you're just a friend and that's it. You're an ally. No, it's true. You have to be loyal, transparent, and be there for them and defend you. So loyalty is a big word for a lot of people that don't understand. You know, loyalty is it's for me is keeping it real 100. You know, and if you're fighting for something and I'm your friend and and not only that you're my friend, the acceptance of a community, you know, you have to fight as well. I come from a background. I have a pretty good background with the LGBTQ community. About 13, 14 years ago, I applied for a job in New York City, and for facilities manager, and I applied at Housing Works. I'm pretty sure you guys know what Housing Works is. You've heard of Housing Works, right?
Can you tell us a little bit, if you like, about what type of work they do for people who are listening?
They're allies. They're real allies. They believe forget about it, man. They're awesome. So I'm telling you, I can tell you so much, but but let me give you a little scenario. So Housing Works is a not-for-profit organization that their mission is to fight the dual crisis of HIV and AIDS. So it's a LGBTQ community, Housing Works. It's a diverse community. So it's amazing. I wasn't educated when I first applied for that position. I went in there very macho, very narrow, closed-minded, like, you know, with the horses run, they only have the flaps just to go straight and that's it. I wasn't aware of the broad community that was going in. And when I started there in 2006, 2007, a I was fine. I was good in there. I was like, okay. But then I started noticing that I was like, wait a minute, there's transgenders, I didn't know what was transgender at that time. I just knew lesbian and gays. That's all I knew. I was very machito, you know. I wasn't educated. I was very stubborn, and I was a person that not accepting. I was one of them that didn't accept the LGBTQ community. You know, like I didn't believe in that. You know, but it was because of my brought up. You know, my how I was brought up. But getting involved and getting educated with Housing Works, that's the good thing about Housing Works. They educate you. They tell you why. Where does this come from? And why are people this way? And I tell you, a lot of my good, close friends, and I want to say best friends, I have two close best friends, are gay. And that was, back then, I didn't believe in that. Housing Works gave me the opportunity to learn. And the way I was treated, it was like, wow, why would you not want to be these people's friends? You know, why not want to chill, you know, and hang out with them? And because I'm from New York City, born and raised, you know, in the ghetto, and that community I was living in, it was no acceptance. I'm from the Dominican Republic. That was no acceptance either back then, you know. So it's hard. It was hard, and I don't want to jump around so much, but for me, ally is just being accepted and supportive of your group. I love Housing Works. If it wouldn't have been because of their not-for-profit organization that they run by grants and funds and federal funds, and you know, I would have been there. You know, I loved Housing Works so much that I lasted 3 months without getting paid because they had no funds to pay their employees. And I believe in their mission and the way they were with the way they are. And you know, if you're not real and you're not transparent and you can't support your friends and your neighbors that belong to the LGBTQ community, I think you're gonna have to, eventually you're gonna start having to move to the suburbs or whatever, I guess. I don't know where right, because the LGBTQ community is growing, you know? It's growing huge, and the acceptance is remarkable. Look at Darnell. I know Darnell for so many years so far, you know, we work together and everything, and I love this dude, you know. I mean, I wouldn't be able to spend time with Darnell like I spent time with him, you know. I wouldn't be able to, back then, I wouldn't have been able to be in the same room with Darnell. And we slept in the same room together, you know. He's come to my house and everything. So that's loyalty. That's ally to the LGBT community. Acceptance and fighting for their beliefs and my belief, you know, and my friends.
It's like you agreeing to fight for the cause. You don't have to know who I am.
Exactly.
You don't have to. You don't even have to have a relationship with me. It's all about one cause, whatever it may be. That's what makes you my ally. I believe in what you're fighting for, and that's what I'm here for, to help you fight.
Yep.
Thank you. That was really powerful. Some of the words that stood out, just to recap: real, protecting me when I'm not in the room, loyalty, transparency, rights, acceptance, community, open-minded, education, support. Those are real powerful words when you think of being an ally for our community.
Yes.
Yep.
With that, what has been your experience interacting with Black trans women? And what are some ways we can address the myriad of issues facing this community?
Oh, that second part is a hard one. That's a hard one.
You want me to break it up?
You know, because of the line of work that I'm in, I mean, I have transgender family members. 2 of my drag mothers are transgender. I have transgendered friends. I mean, they're all around me. I have no problem. I don't have a problem with anybody. I love who you are. I've dated trans on both ends. I love them all. I mean, it's just like one big problem that's added on to all the other mess that we have going on. But in defense of our, to talk about our trans community, it's just, people just need to grow up. And it's and it's so sad, and it's the smallest thing. I'm from, I'm not, as knowledgeable as the next person, or I may not be as smart as the next person, but I got plenty of common sense. And I have lived this lifestyle for a very long time. And a lot of people just need to grow up and accept people for who they are. And once, and it's just like an opinion. I need to respect your opinion. I'm going to respect your opinion, and you're going to respect mine. It's the same thing. Respect these people for the life that they choose to live. Once they grasp that and hold on to that, then a lot of this stuff won't be happening, because a lot of our transgendered women are killed, and it's like, it's because of hate. It's because you don't know who I am. You don't identify with who I am. You don't accept who I am. You don't like who I am for whatever reason you haven't going on in your mind, because you screwed up. But you're not living long enough and experiencing anything to even want to accept this person, or to just accept the fact that they are different than you. And you don't even, I'm not transgender, but I have experienced that. I have experienced the hate of being gay when I didn't even know I was gay. Being called fag and being called a sissy and being bullied and stuff, and not even knowing why. But it's like, when you come of the knowledge and you start to learn about these people around you, it's, as I grow, I'll be 40 this year, as I grow as a person and as a human being, it's not hard to learn about the heterosexual man and how he lives and how he thinks. The heterosexual woman, the transgender woman, the gay man, the gay white man, the gay black man, they're all around us. It's called being observant. And it's called taking in what this universe is giving us. And bottom line, they just need to grow up. And it pisses me off, and I get chills and stuff talking about it, because that's the frustration. The change starts with the person. It starts with the person. If they aren't so closed-minded and full of hate, then a lot of the crimes wouldn't happen. If they mind their own business, a lot of the crimes would. Mind your own business. You stay out my face, and I stay out your face. I know all the situations aren't like that, but I'm just saying, just bring a little light to the situation.
You said something really powerful. Most of it comes because people just don't like you, right? Or that's it. It's not because you disagree or there's some fundamental value. It's like, you just don't like me. Why is that? Why can't you just let me live my life? I think that's really, really powerful. I think up until the last few years, when it comes to Black trans women, all you really heard were, actually you didn't hear any of the injustices, but you have more recently started to hear about the higher rates of violent crimes, the higher rate of homelessness and unemployment and health issues, right? That has become more to light. And at the same time, we're also seeing that Black trans women live real lives, right? They aren't entertainers. They don't all have, although some may need to be in employment that they are forced into, other people have jobs like everyone else. And I think shows like Pose, which has been around for 2 years, really highlights that people have chosen families. People, trans women and trans people have been around for much longer than has been highlighted. I think what has been powerful for me to begin kind of addressing the issues facing Black trans women is first recognizing that they have lots of eyes on them just for colorism, just for racism, just for being a woman, just for being a trans person, and then interconnecting from those communities there is a movement of cisgender women who consider themselves feminists who don't like trans women, who want to exclude them from women's rights. There's LGB people who think that LGBT, they should tease transgender, shouldn't be a part of that umbrella. They are in this competing kind of intersection of identities. So they really feel under the microscope. What has been helpful is teaching particularly young gay men where their rights came from, where the pride movement started well before Stonewall. And, you know, it started with Black trans women at the forefront because gay white men were trying to sit around a table and talk about negotiating what it meant to be human, right? If you give me this right, I'll stay, I won't protest, or I'll stay in the corner and I won't be visible as long as you let me live in this apartment, right? That didn't work. So people had to be louder, and that was led by Black trans women.
Yeah.
I can't explain it better than the way you guys explained it. I mean, like I told you, I've interacted with Black trans women, and to me, it's just like Kennedy said, just acceptance, you know? Just accept them. What's the difference? We're all human beings, you know? And the education part, it's amazing. If people would get educated, they would accept every one from any race, any gender, they'll accept them no matter what. Just educate yourself and learn how to accept, you know. I've seen transformations from, my God, the phases that they've gone through, and like they go through a lot, you know. Housing Works, they're a very big community, and I've seen the transformation that Black trans women go through, and the bullyingness from other people in the community, you know. And I'm like, wow, it's crazy. But I mean, you guys are right. You guys hit it, nailed it, and that's what that's how I feel, you know. Just the acceptance and education is a big part.
You said something, you said about education, and I think that goes along with allyship, right?
Exactly.
Educate yourself, Google something, right?
Yeah.
Try to find out
anything.
Google anything, right?
Yeah. Don't listen for what. Don't judge a person by what you.
Just look it up, right? And that way you really have some facts behind your opinion. I think, you know, people are human. You need to accept them, and you shouldn't have an opinion about me. Your opinion about me shouldn't negate how you treat me as a human, or that I have equal rights as you. You can not like me as a person, but that shouldn't mean that I am not able to progress in society like you.
Exactly.
Right. Also, I feel like I wanted to add this point. I feel like within our own gay community, we should also lead by example. And a lot of us gays don't know how to treat trans women. We treat them just as bad as, you know, the heterosexual treat us. And we should be held accountable for how we treat our sisters in this community. And once we start being the example on how to treat them, then maybe somebody on the outside looking in will, you know, will start realizing what they're doing and start doing things differently. Because trans is nothing but a word. We're all human. We're the same people. We're the same. We're one race, the human race. So we need to start in our house first. We need to sweep around our own front door before we start trying to get other people to, you know, to do other stuff that we're not even doing. Now, I love my community, but I've seen it, you know, and that's a lot. And I know for a fact the big problem that our trans Black women have is within our own community. And then it gets even worse outside of our community.
I was just going to ask something about that, but I think Kennedy summed it up. But can we talk about that just a little more? I know we're on a time schedule about what that stuff, how trans women of color are treated in our own LGB community, what that looks like, or what are some examples that some people in on the webinar may say, oh, really, I didn't know that this happens. You know, maybe something that you all have seen or experienced from people in your circles.
I mean, I can say even like as far as relationships are concerned, you know, I know a lot of trans women that like gay boys. You know, okay, and a lot of the the Nellier queens, they don't get into that, so they begin to read them or down talk them for who they are, and also even in our own community, we down our sex workers who make a living doing that. And none of that is okay, because we all have to survive here. And if that's what she do, that's what she do. But we talk about them too. We talk about that streetwalker. You don't know what her situation is. And the only time that they are really glorified is when, they have naked on the show. And it's very few of the women like Kelly that are that are doing things outside of the stage. I know a few ladies in Atlanta and here that are advocates and for HIV and AIDS and all types of stuff. But the bullying, and I wouldn't even call it bullying, but just the down talking of our women, it overpowers the good things that they do outside of performing.
I wish I had a theory or something. I feel like the letters, right, the labeling of L and then G and then B and then Q, right? Every one of those letters wants their own small community to have a safe space so that you can say that person, understands my experience. But then there becomes this competitiveness of like, well, what's happening with, why are gay men at the forefront of marriage equality, or lesbian women? What about people who don't want to be married, right? Why are they negated from the conversation? Why are we not being more inclusive around people who don't identify as a specific gender? I think the competitiveness leads to this, I want to make my small community stay a small community, but that's really what's the problem with what we've been talking about this whole time, right? Everyone wants their small homogeneous community to stay in a fenced yard and not have to interact with other people. But that's how you don't have that empathy. That's how you don't connect with other people, and you don't understand someone else's experience. So that needs to stop. And I wish I had a better way to end this by saying, this is how you do it. I think empathy and connecting with people and saying, like Kennedy said, respect everything about someone. You don't know somebody else's experience.
The term queer is used in a variety of ways and has different meanings for people. What does queer or being queer mean to you?
I laugh because it's nothing like deep or anything. I mean, I just thought queer is like another word for Nelly, like and that's an old word. That's a back in the day word. But queer, I'm just being honest. Queer to me was like the most Nelliest queen you have ever seen, that is just flamboyant, free, don't care about nothing but themselves in a good way, and living their best life. I mean, it's a difference. For me, it's a difference being gay and queer. And that, you know,
Yeah.
that's my opinion. So yeah, respect
As as she picks up the drink.
that.
Yeah, I think I actually
Right?
really agree. I think
You
that
do?
kind of, yeah. You said something, a word that I had never thought about was like free, right? That
Yeah.
person, you said free from themselves, but I'm also thinking free from other people, right? The person who is Nelly, right? Nelly behavior is really resisting what it means to be a man and is saying, I don't care what it means to be a man. I don't care that you're telling me my wrist is turned over, or that I have to
Yes,
sway as I
yes.
walk, or that I want to wear makeup, right? That is what
That's
queer
it.
means. I'm saying,
That's what I meant.
yes, I'm with you. I am free from the box you're going to put me in. So as someone, I identify as gender queer, which means that I am queering, I am freeing from your expectations of gender, right? The same as my sexuality, I see myself as queer. I used to identify as gay, but that specifically meant men liking men, right? I don't identify as a man anymore. And I also like trans men. I think trans women are adorable. I like lots of people. I connect with people sexually differently than I used to. So that's why I use queer as a sexuality. But I think it can also be what we do to things. So we can queer our understanding of marriage. Just because marriage equality was a man or a woman, or a man and a man, why can't it be a man, woman, and another man and a genderqueer person, or people for people, right? Why does it have to be two? We can queer our idea of healthcare, why, and employment, right? The Supreme Court the other day said, great, trans people and LGBTQ people can't be fired from a job. And people said, that's great, now they have access to healthcare. Well, let's queer that. Let's free from our expectation. Why the hell is healthcare tied to employment, right? Everyone should have healthcare. So I think queer is just saying, let's get out of the way we used to think about it and focus really on the issue, so that I can live my life the way I want to without your expectations on me. So yes.
And
And
that's what exactly. Yeah, he nailed it. Just live your life to the fullest. That's it.
that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Do we have questions from the visitors? Josue? I can't see them. We are right on schedule.
Right now, no questions so far. I am giving, but this is a perfect time for the individuals who are with us, that if they do have a question for our panel, please ask, and we will go ahead and forward these questions to the entire panel.
Say that again, Josue.
We don't have any questions that have come up throughout the panel, but at this time, I would like to, I invite anyone who is listening, that if they do have any questions, we can then forward it to you guys, to you all.
I'm going to ask Kennedy a question while we wait. Is that okay? Is that permitted? Can I queer the process?
Go right ahead. Queer on.
Yeah, so I'm curious about, it's one thing to come out and say, I am gay to your family, right? And to get that expectation. But there is this stigma around drag performance, right? Mm-hmm. So what was that like when you came out? Not just as being, I was assuming, I think you said gay male earlier, but then also drag is a way that I'm going to perform and make a living. What was that like for you?
Well, those were two different instances, mm-hmm. Because before, drag was just a hobby. Because I was in the Navy. I worked for corporate America. I did all of those things as well as while I was doing drag. But the first part of your question, I was just smart about it. It was the late 90s, early 2000s, and I already knew how my family think. You kind of know where a heterosexual mind is when it comes to, when they hear drag, they think a man in a dress, period. No makeup, you just the worst that you could think of. That's what they think you are. So I kind of waited until I got kind of good at it, And like, I waited till I got like better with my makeup and stuff. And then I like used my cousin as a pawn to like show the pictures to my family, you know. You know, I was very, very smart and strategic about it. Um, but when they really started to find out and really started to see what I was doing, I was serious about it. And it was not something that I was just doing. I came out the gate serious because it was a lot of people that didn't believe in me. It was a lot of people that wouldn't help me. And that's every drag girl. If you have any type of talent or if you any kind of good, the drag queen's gonna sense that first. The gays gonna sense it first, honey. They're not gonna want to help you. So I was determined to just be the very best. I was already performing. I was already performing on stage. I was going to school for performance. So I was already singing and dancing. You know, drag was just an outlet for me to be on stage. You know, it was an opportunity for me to perform. So the performing aspect didn't come secondary for me. It was natural for me to do that. And then one thing that I did, I learned how to respect the art form. And that's how I presented it to my family.
Say that again, you learned how to what? Respect.
For real. Because, I mean, I didn't even like drag queens, you know, and I was like, you know, I had to learn for myself. And, you know, when my friend was like, well, you know, I can hook it up for you, you know, I was like, okay. He was like, you'll be cute as a girl. And I was like, okay. And I said, let's try, because why? I was wanting to perform, wanted to be on stage. Being in drag was just a plus for me, you know? So, it didn't become full time. It didn't become a living for me until 2005. And that's right after I got out of the Navy. But at this point in time in my life, I got tired of quitting. I got tired of, you know, I gave up a professional career in dance. I gave up a professional career singing. I walked out on my career in the Navy. And I just really had to do a self-check. You know, I'm getting older, and is this something that I really want to do? And if it's something that I really want to do, like everything that I've always done, I have to give it 100% of my time. So that's when I started giving it 100% of my time. I didn't have a car. I was living in a room in Florida, but I had good friends that would pick me up, drop me off at the train station. I was catching buses, catching trains, doing pageants, catching buses, catching trains, all of that in Florida. And that's what led me to actually come back home and then take my career a step further by auditioning for Drag Race, because I'm like, if I need to be doing this and have something to show for. You know, I had nothing. I was already like 15 years in. You know, so I'm like, no, I need to do something different, and I need to have something to show for it. You know, it's like the way I was brought up. You know, you need to be somebody in life, and you make sure you're doing something that you're gonna have something to show for. You know, let your work speak for itself, and that's kind of how I took it, and I had to be the leading example to my drag children. Because I always preach to them to be something. Don't be one of the gays that, you know, be sleeping on the floor and that's where you end up, and then that's where you end up staying. It's all right to sleep on the girl floor for a little bit till you get on your feet. You know, that's what we're here for. But what are you gonna do after? You know, what are you doing while you're on that floor? What was I doing while I was in that one room house, you know, when I didn't have a car, all of that stuff. It all came, you know, together for me. And it had to click, and I had to do something fast or I was going to retire.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that. Speaking of that, I honestly, I know I'm going to probably get But I haven't followed all seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race. I am a former Continental, and I follow pageants. And I saw you accomplish one of your goals as Miss Gay US of A. Um, and that is very monumental, especially in drag and female impersonation. Can you share your experience about that?
Miss Gay USA.
Yes.
Oh, I'm just, I get all smiles. Um, I was, I was really, really young when I first started doing drag, they automatically, I'm in Texas, so they automatically put
Hmm.
me in the US of A line, okay, to say, oh, you need to do Miss US of A, you a dancer. Miss US of A, Miss US of A, it was Miss US of A and EOI. You an entertainer, you a dancer, and they ain't seen me do nothing. But they just knew I was going to the School of the Arts and this and that, and that's how I met Calexis. That's how I met my very first drag mother, and because I was a dancer and she was twirling during that time, um, they just meshed us together. So that's what happened with US of A, and I just grew a love for it, especially after Chevelle won Miss Texas and went on to Chevelle Brooks went on to win Miss Gay US of A. It was like the fire. It was like a light in the wick stick, baby. And so
Wow.
my career was basically groomed around being Miss Gay US of A. And it was I won on my fourth try, and it was just it was surreal. I had my mother there. I had my spiritual mother there, and her husband. I had both of my grandmothers there. I had um, my drag father there, and of course my drag mother there. I mean, everybody was there. It was a moment that I'll never forget, and it was, you know, I may go on to win. I'll be blessed to win other national pageants, but that moment would probably never be relived. It was the best experience ever, and to sit and interview, and they asked me, why do I want to be Miss Gay US of A? I just simply told them that's all I ever wanted to be.
Mm.
And I was second in interview, and I doing Miss Gay US of A helped me to understand that a lot of times only on, only the only thing people want from you is your truth. They want your truth. They just want you to be real, and they want you to be honest. And that's all I've ever been. And that's why my mom to this day, anything that I do as far as competition, she tells me, go in there and be yourself. She said, you have nothing to change. Go in there and be yourself and show them who you really are, because you have worked and became who you are for this moment. So it was like the best thing, girl. Like, I mean, girl, I cried like all my lashes off. And Tanisha did my face. So, girl, all of that, all of them lashes was off, okay? Like a real nasty, ugly cry.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Um, any
No problem.
any other questions, Josue?
Yes, we actually have two questions. Um,
Come
and
on, questions.
and first, I want to say, Kennedy, I haven't really watched all the seasons of Drag Race neither. And I think that the only one that I remember watching faithfully was your season. And so this is amazing that I actually get to speak to you here.
Yeah, I have that effect on people.
so, Miss Kelly, this question is actually for you.
Oh, okay.
Can you speak about your transition and finding yourself as a woman?
Oh, speak about my transition and find myself as a woman. Um, I can remember as far back. I'm 40 now. Just turned 40 in April. I could remember being 3 years old and feeling like a woman. Um, for me, from my experience, in my culture, the church, being Black, African American, the first thing your family may think of is he is joking, or he wants to just put on a dress or something like that. But I just always felt like a woman, and I found comfort within all of that, in the community, in ballroom, and doing pageants and doing shows, and that was really my safety net where I could be me. And then I maybe around 27, I had this awakening, like, okay, you've done all that and there's still more to come, but what's really your aesthetic? Like, what are you presenting? And I had to really like figure that out. What do I want to be? Do I want to just be the stereotype, or do I want to be me? Whether it was education, relationships, employment, just really, as Kennedy said, living in my truth, being unapologetic. The pastor always says, never apologize for your truth or your blessings.
Amen.
And I think that's really something I live by now, not being apologetic. And we call it pushing through. Yes, she's trans. Yes, she's now a woman, but then what? There's so many other elements of Kelly. And that was really my journey, my life.
All right, Kelly. Well, the people said amen.
The church said amen.
Yeah, people
Okay.
said amen. They said, preach, girl, preach.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question, and this is the final question that I received, is can you define the difference from the art of female impersonation or drag and being a woman?
I always answer questions for me. I look at it more as having an outlet to be an entertainer. I'm the only trans person on the show where I work at here in Buffalo at Club Marcella, and I wear just as much makeup as the girls. I just do just as much new music. I move just as much as them. And being a plus size person, I'm not one who does like strip downs and all that. When the music goes, I go. But I'm able to separate my real life when I come home and take all that off. Like, I have to go to work on Monday. I have to do schoolwork. I have to take care of my family. So I'm able to separate those two avenues or those two paths like that, but still tie them together. That works well for me.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
It's just my little philosophy. Drag is not an identity. This is just my philosophy. Drag is not an identity. Drag is what starts on the inside. It's you don't have to be a drag queen. You don't have to put on makeup and do a show to be drag. Drag is a feel. And that's just how I, being on television and living this lifestyle, and coming across a lot of heterosexual women who, oh, I wish I could be as beautiful as you. Oh, those type of people. Baby, you don't have to put on all this. You are a drag queen, honey. It starts on the inside. And it's just like for the trans women that are on the show with, a drag queen. Baby, they're going to put on just as much as, because it starts from here.
Yeah.
They're going to put on just as much makeup, just as much drag. Their earrings going to be bigger. It's larger than life because it starts from within. Drag starts from within. Don't have anything to do with who you are. It has something to do with where your heart is. And baby, I'm going to be fierce. If I don't ever put on another dress, I'm going to put on me some drag, okay? That's whatever it is, any walk of life. That's just my way of thinking about drag. That's why I say it's self-liberation. I mean, it's total liberation. It's total liberation. Pride, drag, bitch, you can't tell me nothing. Sorry about it.
So I have one last question, and this is for Mr. Salcedo. So someone asked, would you ever consider allowing yourself to get up on drag and perform as an ally?
You're on mute.
Get off mute.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Repeat it again, Sway?
Yes. Would you ever consider allowing one of the queens to put you in drag and perform as an ally?
I wouldn't mind. I think I'll do it, yeah.
Yeah!
I think I would, just to have fun.
All right.
Yes,
Let me tell you
that's
something.
what it's all about.
I've got to, in New York City, there's a club called Cafecito, I think, or Escuelita in New York City downtown. And
Escuelita.
I've gone to clubs with my gay friends and lesbian friends, and we've danced and partied and everything. And you know what? It's funny that they asked me that question because I've lost friends because of that, for being who I am, accepting the LGBTQ community. But yeah, I would just to enjoy myself and have fun and take pictures and stuff. You know, yeah, I would, and to support them.
We're gonna hold you to it.
Darnell.
I think
Yeah,
it's not an identity, honey. It's there for you to have fun and get your life.
You gotta feel secure and know who you are. Like you
Yes.
said, you gotta know who you are and what you want in life. And you know, I'm a straight man, but I enjoy myself. I enjoy the company of my friends that are either in the gay or lesbian or whatever, in the LGBTQ community, or you know. But as long as you find yourself and you know who you are, you're good. You're comfortable. You know. I remember I have a good friend of mine. His name is Kaiser. He told me, put on this shirt. He gave me a T-shirt. The Housing Works was giving it to heterosexual men and women that said, I'm a lesbian or I'm gay. And walk in the street and see the reactions of people that you know and how they're gonna treat you. And by the way, and by the way that I was treated in my community, in my neighborhood, where I was raised up, where I was born and raised, Washington Heights, New York City, they were like, yeah, you're bugging out, you know? I was like, nah, you bugging out because you're not accepting me for who I am. You're just looking at that sign, I'm gay. When you know I'm not, but you're already judging me. So are you a friend or aren't you a friend? You know, so I would do it. I would support, and you know,
I've had quite a few straight friends like you, and that's awesome. It's all about knowing who you are as a person, and just knowing it's about fun. It's not about who you are. You already know who you are on the inside as a person, as a man, and that makes it even better. You know, because you get to experience. The total liberation. Like I've had a lot of straight people come to my show that had never been to a drag show before. And Kelly can attest to this, they have the time of their life. I've had straight women come to me crying. And, you know, because, you know, I may have done a song or, you know, something to touch them. That's what we are here. That's what we are here for. People don't understand us gay, queer, transgender people. We are here to lift up the spirits of our people, especially as entertainers. That's our job. Our job and purpose is to put a smile on somebody's face. And if we cannot do that, then we don't need to be in that line of business.
You can't. You gotta be very transparent. You know.
Oh yeah, I'm an open book. If you ain't figured that out.
Yeah. I saw that.
Really? Weird.
I think that shows a lot of character of who you are as a
It
man
does.
and the confidence you have within yourself. So I appreciate that. And Darnell, you heard it here. The Office of Student Activities will present Bard College Miss Drag Race, and Kelly and Kennedy will be judging, and Mr. Salcedo will be the first one as a competitor. There we go.
Wow.
Dr. B, are you in? I'm hearing, are you in, Dr. B?
Oh God.
Sure, I'm ready.
There you
I'm
go.
ready.
All right, Darnell, you heard it.
Just send me
You
my
heard it here.
ticket. I don't like
I
this.
heard it.
virtual.
I'll keep.
I know. I can't wait till this virtual stuff is over. I want to see people. I want to like reach out.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Any anything that whether it's formal or informal that the three of you would like to leave people with whether it ties back to the questions or something that they could take away with them after this conversation and this webinar is over.
I can say
Real quick. I'm getting
Yeah,
cute.
I say really quick. Don't as we go forward, don't point the finger. I was always taught you point the fingers, there's three more pointing back at you. Okay, always think about what you're doing, and if you think about what you do, if you think before you act, then there may be a different reaction.
For me, it's going back to that term free, right? Just think about why you do the things you do. Why are you wearing the clothes you're wearing? Why are you using the words that you're using? Why are you dating the people you're dating? Why are you presenting the way you are? And is it really because that's what you want to do? Or is it because that's what's expected of you? And you need to, only you know that. So queer it up and be free of those boxes.
Thank you.
And accept yourself. And when you accept yourself for who you are, you're gonna learn, and you're gonna accept everybody else for who they are. You're not gonna judge anybody. Love one another. You know, we're going through a phase in our life, situation of with Black Lives Matter, with the LGBTQ community, with different scenarios that we have to unite. You know, and come together as one and fight for what you believe. You know, accept the people that surround you. You know. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'd like to, on behalf of Bard, did I say it right? Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
I was going to say Buffalo State, but I want to thank the three of you for participating, for being open and honest and informative. Thank you, Josue and Darnell, for inviting me to participate. I had a great time getting to know Kennedy more and meeting Brandon and Stivia. It's great. And thank you to the participants who took time out of their evening to witness this and be a part of it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Darnell, for having me, man. When Darnell asked me to join, to be a host here, one of the participants, he knows I'm not a very talkative person. I'm very shy. I get nervous. I'm a wreck, you know. But it's cool. It was cool, man. I enjoyed it, and I felt comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you all have a great night. This is awesome, and I'll be in touch with each of you individually.
Be safe. God bless.
Bye. Happy
Bye.
Pride.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.